Imagine a world where the internet bans you for using emojis too expressively, or a gadget refuses to work if you plug it in after midnight. From absurd laws that punished excessive Wi-Fi usage to digital rules so strange they sound like satire. Humanity has truly outdone itself in trying to control technology. These aren't sci-fi predictions, they're real rules that once existed. Today, we're diving into 50 of the most bizarre, hilarious, and mind-bending tech laws and gadget restrictions ever enforced across the digital world. In 2011, South Korea passed the shutdown law, banning anyone under 16 from playing online games after midnight. Government servers literally cut their internet connection at 12 a.m. sharp. Teenagers found loopholes by logging into adult accounts or switching servers abroad. Critics called it digital dictatorship, but the government defended it as protecting sleep cycles. Eventually repealed in 2021, it remains one of the most intrusive internet control laws ever created in a democracy that claimed to be tech-free. In 2012, China made it illegal to use the internet without registering your real name and ID. No anonymous comments, no hidden profiles, everything traceable by the state. Even gaming accounts required ID numbers linked to facial recognition. Millions lost access overnight for using pseudonyms. The official claim? Accountability and national stability. The hidden reason? Control. It birthed an entire underground of ghost users, people who traded black market IDs just to keep browsing in silence. In 2002, Greece passed an absurd anti-espionage law banning the use of Wi-Fi in all public spaces. Tourists found themselves fined for connecting laptops in cafes or airports. Authorities feared wireless espionage, treating routers like spy transmitters. It took nearly 3 years for courts to admit the law made no sense in a modern EU country. Until then, cafes hid routers under tables and labeled them private sound systems to avoid prosecution. Before 2014, Myanmar treated SIM cards as luxury items, each costing over $3,000 due to government control. Owning a phone was a mark of political privilege. The dictatorship claimed limited infrastructure, but it was really a surveillance tactic. Fewer SIMs meant fewer people to monitor. When prices finally dropped to $1.50, tens of millions got connected overnight, proving the digital blackout was never about technology. It was about keeping citizens disconnected and predictable. In 2011, Schleswig-Holstein, Germany, declared the Facebook like button illegal. Authorities said it violated data protection laws by sending tracking info to U.S. servers. Websites were fined for embedding it. German bureaucrats feared social media influencing public opinion through invisible metrics. It sounds laughable now, but it marked one of the first government attempts to restrict an emotion. Digital approval itself became a threat. Iran launched its National Information Network in 2012, a censored internet filtered through Islamic ideology. The government called it the halal internet, free of Western corruption. Sites like Google, YouTube, and Facebook were blocked, replaced with state-approved versions. Even antivirus updates required permission. Citizens joked that the country had built a sandboxed heaven. But beneath that irony lay a chilling truth. The state rewired the web to serve faith before freedom. North Korea built its own isolated intranet called Kwangmyong. Bright light, it hosts about 30 state-approved websites, mostly praising Kim Jong-un, science propaganda, and recipes for patriotic noodles. No global internet access exists for citizens. It's illegal to even mention Google. Foreign visitors must surrender devices at the airport. In Kwangmyong, the internet isn't a window, it's a mirror reflecting the leader's face back at you from every screen. Australia's 2016 metadata retention law forced all telecoms to store citizens' digital footprints, every text, call, and IP log, for 2 years. Even VPNs were under suspicion. Journalists were targeted for protecting whistleblowers. The law didn't just track crime, it criminalized privacy itself. Civil liberty groups called it the end of invisibility, but the government sold it as public safety. In the land of kangaroos, digital ghosts were declared extinct. In 2012, Japan criminalized jailbreaking iPhones or playing pirated MP3s, punishable by 2 years in prison. The government said it protected copyright, but critics saw it as Apple's legal shield turned national law. Even modifying your ringtone through third-party software could be considered a crime. Ironically, the same year, Japanese hackers found ways to jailbreak the rule itself, rewriting the law's absurdity in code. In 2014, Russia declared that any blogger with over 3,000 daily readers must register with the state. They were now mass media entities, legally accountable for every post. Anonymous satire pages vanished overnight. The law blurred the line between journalist and citizen, forcing casual posters into state regulation. It wasn't just censorship, it was psychological warfare, teaching people that having an audience was a government-licensed privilege. In 2018, Thailand's Computer Crimes Act allowed the government to arrest anyone for sharing false or distorted information online, even memes. Posting a sarcastic GIF about the monarchy could lead to 5 years in prison. Internet cafes were forced to record users' identities and screen times. Citizens learned to speak in coded language, replacing sensitive words with emojis. In a country where smiles are sacred, laughing at the wrong thing online could become a digital death sentence. In 2009, the United Arab Emirates banned using BlackBerry Messenger, claiming its encryption violated national security. The real fear was that foreign servers bypassed state surveillance. Overnight, thousands of business people lost communication access. Authorities threatened fines for anyone caught using the app. After international backlash, the ban was quietly reversed. But the episode revealed how fear of privacy outweighed the right to communication in a nation obsessed with control. In 2001, Cuba restricted home internet access to government-approved professionals like doctors and engineers. Ordinary citizens could only connect at supervised state centers, where guards watched every screen. Unauthorized Wi-Fi routers were confiscated as counter-revolutionary tools. When one engineer secretly built a neighborhood mesh network using repurposed antennas, police dismantled it within hours. In a country famous for vintage cars, even Wi-Fi signals were treated like rebellious engines needing state control. In 2010, Pakistan banned Facebook for hosting a Draw Muhammad contest, labeling the platform blasphemous. For nearly 2 weeks, the entire site went dark across the country. Students lost access to study groups, and businesses collapsed overnight. Ironically, the blackout inspired a new wave of Pakistani tech startups to create faith-friendly social networks, which soon failed as users missed the chaos, the noise, and the forbidden world beyond the block. In 2017, Ethiopia shut down the entire country's internet during national exams to stop cheating. Millions lost access, banks, hospitals, and businesses included. The blackout cost the economy over $5 million per day. Authorities defended the decision as academic protection. Students, however, discovered that the exam papers were leaked internally, not online. It was the perfect irony, a government unplugging its future to hide its own failure. In 2014, Turkey temporarily banned Twitter after citizens used it to expose corruption scandals involving government officials. Prime Minister Erdogan declared, "We'll eradicate Twitter. I don't care what the international community says." But within hours, citizens painted DNS codes on city walls, showing others how to bypass the ban. The protest turned digital resistance into street graffiti, proof that in modern Turkey, rebellion could fit into 140 characters. In 2009, Finland became the first country to make *** internet access, a legal right. ***. Yet the irony was sharp. The same government fined citizens for using illegal modems not approved by telecom authorities. People who connected through homemade antennas faced penalties despite fighting for faster connectivity in rural areas. The result was paradoxical, a country legally obligated to provide internet, but criminalizing those who tried to improve it. In 2013, Saudi Arabia banned the use of Viber, Skype, and WhatsApp calls, citing national security. The real reason was economic. Telecom companies were losing billions in international call revenue. Citizens found ways around it using VPNs, prompting the government to declare VPNs acts against Islam. For months, Saudis risked fines just to hear loved ones' voices. In a land of oil and wealth, even human connection became taxable. In 2008, India banned the sale of Google Earth imagery showing military zones, fearing terrorists might use it for attacks. The law forced Google to blur large parts of the country. Even universities and railway stations disappeared into pixelated fog. When citizens complained, the government replied, "National security has no resolution." The irony, the same blurred areas were already visible in foreign atlases decades earlier. In 2015, the United Kingdom passed the Snoopers Charter, allowing the government to legally hack citizens' devices without warrants. ISPs had to store everyone's browsing history for 12 months. Critics called it the most extreme surveillance law in the democratic world. Even deleted texts could be resurrected. The law turned the birthplace of privacy law, Britain, into the global capital of legal eavesdropping. In 2013, Egypt banned YouTube for a full month after a controversial anti-Islam video went viral. Courts declared the platform a threat to national unity. Internet providers were ordered to block access countrywide, yet millions bypassed it using proxy sites within hours. Ironically, the government later uploaded its own propaganda videos to YouTube. A ban meant to silence outrage ended up amplifying it, proving you can't muzzle chaos in a world built on sharing. In 2012, Venezuela forced all computer importers to register hardware serial numbers with the state before sale. Even personal laptops had to be approved. Officials said it prevented technological smuggling, but citizens joked it was to monitor dissenters' hard drives. Tech repair shops were raided for possessing unregistered motherboards. By 2015, the black market for ghost laptops, computers without serial logs, was larger than the legal trade itself. In 2017, Uganda imposed a daily social media tax, charging users 200 shillings per day to access apps like Facebook and WhatsApp. The government framed it as a way to promote responsible use. In truth, it targeted activists using social platforms for protest coordination. People created hashtags like #ThisTaxMustGo and walked miles to find free Wi-Fi zones. The world laughed, but Ugandans paid for the right to speak. In 2014, Vietnam introduced a law banning online discussion of current affairs, allowing only personal or family content. Posting political opinions could lead to arrest. Bloggers turned to coded poetry and riddles to disguise criticism. A post about flowers wilting in summer could secretly describe government collapse. The digital battlefield became linguistic, every emoji a potential weapon, every word a risk. In 2009, the United States Transportation Security Administration, TSA, temporarily banned batteries from checked luggage after several fires. The rule covered everything from laptops to cameras. Photographers at airports cried as officials confiscated gear worth thousands. Later investigations revealed that most fires were caused by mishandled power tools, not electronics. But bureaucracy has no undo button. By the time the rule changed, half the nation had learned to fear its own gadgets. In 2007, Belarus outlawed using foreign email services like Gmail or Yahoo. The reason? National digital sovereignty. Every citizen was required to use government-hosted email accounts. Private communication became public property overnight. Emails were monitored by the KGB, renamed Information Security Directorate. Families switched to handwritten letters again, knowing ink was safer than encryption. It was a return to paper in a world of code. In 2016, Malaysia threatened to jail anyone spreading fake news, including sharing satire. Even forwarding a meme about politicians could result in a $100,000 fine. Police scrolled through Facebook comments looking for sarcasm. One student was arrested for joking that Wi-Fi signals cause corruption. The government never clarified what counted as fake, leaving truth itself on trial. In 2010, Kenya launched a law requiring all cybercafes to install surveillance cameras and register every user's ID before granting internet access. Each session had to be logged for a year. Authorities claimed it would reduce online fraud, but customers compared it to digital fingerprinting. Ironically, most rural cafes couldn't afford cameras, so they shut down, erasing the only public gateways to the internet for thousands. In 2005, Italy banned the Sony PlayStation Portable's Wi-Fi feature in public areas, fearing unregulated data exchange among youth. Police even patrolled arcades to check if players were connecting wirelessly. Teens modified their consoles to use hidden frequencies, creating underground PSP networks in subways. The government eventually dropped the rule, but not before proving how far paranoia can go when technology meets imagination. In 2018, Zimbabwe's government ordered all internet providers to shut down social media during mass protests over fuel prices. WhatsApp, Facebook, and Twitter went dark. Soldiers patrolled streets to prevent gatherings. Citizens used satellite phones and Morse code-style SMS to relay updates. The silence online was deafening, a nation screaming in the dark, its voice trapped inside invisible wires. In 2004, Bahrain required every internet cafe to install government surveillance software that took screenshots of user activity every 5 minutes. Each cafe had to send those images to the Ministry of Information nightly. Operators who refused lost their business licenses. Citizens began covering security cameras with chewing gum and browsing from behind cardboard screens. The government called it public morality protection, but it was digital voyeurism, turning curiosity itself into contraband. In 2013, Kazakhstan banned using foreign email services for government correspondence, forcing all officials to communicate through a state-controlled server. When leaks emerged showing those servers were easily hackable, the government's solution wasn't to improve security. It criminalized using Gmail. Civil servants who logged into personal accounts faced disciplinary hearings. By trying to prevent data theft, Kazakhstan created an even bigger target, a centralized vault of state secrets waiting to be stolen. In 2015, Indonesia ordered all social media platforms to filter out negative content within 24 hours or face a national ban. The law never defined negative. Overnight, entire art communities vanished for posting surreal or provocative imagery. Even a photo of a shadowy statue was flagged as demonic. The purge was so broad that the government accidentally blocked its own tourism board's website, proof that censorship eventually eats its own hand. In 2010, the United States banned travelers from carrying more than one lithium laptop battery in their luggage. The rule came after a single cargo fire incident. Journalists on assignment had to ship batteries separately. Photographers smuggled extras in socks, and tech reviewers nicknamed the ban Operation Low Power. It lasted just months before quietly vanishing. Bureaucracy learned what every laptop user already knew. You can't enforce common sense through customs. In 2012, Singapore outlawed public Wi-Fi networks without government registration. Coffee shops had to submit router serial numbers and access passwords to state authorities. Officials justified it as anti-terrorism, but it mainly crippled tourism. Travelers found themselves in cafes where baristas refused to share Wi-Fi keys without ID. The city, known for its futuristic skyline, suddenly felt medieval, wired by fear rather than fiber optics. In 2018, Tanzania introduced a law requiring bloggers to pay $900 annually for a government license. For a country where average income was $2 a day, it was a digital death sentence. Thousands of small blogs disappeared overnight. The state claimed it was to preserve content quality. What it preserved instead was silence. The internet went from a marketplace of ideas to a gated palace guarded by clerks with price tags. In 2010, Egypt criminalized unlicensed Wi-Fi hotspots, claiming they interfered with military frequencies. College students were arrested for hosting local networks in dorms. Authorities raided electronic shops selling routers without government approval stickers. For a generation raised on connectivity, the ban felt medieval. When the Arab Spring erupted months later, activists realized they were already living inside an invisible firewall built long before the revolution began. In 2006, France passed a law requiring ISPs to block any site offending national dignity, a term so vague it included satirical art and political memes. A digital artist who parodied the French flag in glitch format faced police investigation. The irony? The government's own website briefly went offline after its IP was misclassified as offensive. The nation of Liberté accidentally censored itself in defense of its own ego. In 2017, Cambodia ordered Facebook to provide the government with the names and phone numbers of anyone posting anti-national content. When the company hesitated, the regime created Facebook, a government-run clone that automatically registered users when they bought SIM cards. Citizens logged in without realizing their accounts were state-controlled. By the time they noticed, their digital doubles were already posting patriotic slogans on their behalf. In 2009, Nigeria's Senate proposed banning online dating, calling it a gateway to fraud and moral decay. Anyone running a dating site could face up to 5 years in prison. The law never fully passed, but police still used it to harass site owners and detain users. Ironically, the ban coincided with the country's massive surge in internet romance scams, proof that legislating morality online only breeds better liars. In 2019, Russia passed its sovereign internet law, granting the government full power to disconnect the country from the global web at will. Internet traffic was rerouted through state-controlled hubs capable of censorship and shutdowns. Officials claimed it was cyber defense. In reality, it was digital isolation, a national intranet for 144 million people. When tested, some regions went dark for hours. It proved how easily a modern country could vanish from the global conversation with one switch. In 2003, Vietnam banned all video games between 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. to prevent youth moral decline. Internet cafes installed automatic shutdown timers, and police raided those still glowing past midnight. Teenagers secretly built their own private servers using scrap computers and candles for light, calling them ghost stations. The law failed miserably. It only created an underground network of nocturnal gamers who worshipped the very thing the government feared: free connection. In 2007, France required all public schools to remove Wi-Fi networks, citing potential radiation dangers to children. Teachers were forced to return to chalkboards, and IT departments buried routers behind library shelves. Parents celebrated, then protested again when schools banned even wired internet. Within months, France's digital education progress regressed a decade. Ironically, students continued browsing the web on their smartphones using 4G, the law forgot to mention. In 2012, India's government blocked over 300 websites and social media pages accused of inciting panic during ethnic tensions. The list bizarrely included news portals, humor blogs, and even a weather website that had predicted storms in riot-affected regions. When pressed, officials admitted they hadn't actually reviewed the URLs. They'd banned them because they looked suspicious. The great irony: censorship executed by search engine ignorance. In 2016, Egypt criminalized sharing videos of police misconduct online, calling it spreading false news. Activists caught uploading evidence of brutality were arrested within hours. The government justified the rule as maintaining morale. Citizens began encrypting videos inside music files or cat memes to evade filters. Egypt didn't just hide its truth, it forced truth itself to wear disguises. In 2015, Malaysia made liking a Facebook post grounds for prosecution under the Sedition Act. A student who clicked like on a cartoon criticizing the monarchy was interrogated for treason. Authorities argued that engagement equaled endorsement. Social media users began writing disclaimers, liking agreeing. But paranoia spread faster than any post. For the first time in digital history, a finger tap became a potential criminal confession. In 2009, Iran banned all Western video games that featured war against Muslim nations. Games like Battlefield and Call of Duty were seized from stores. Underground traders began smuggling them hidden inside blank DVD covers labeled as wedding software. Teenagers joked that they were fighting the West twice, once on screen and once against their own government's paranoia. Even pixels became political prisoners. In 2018, China introduced its social credit system, where online behavior directly affected real-world privileges. Criticize the government online, and your travel rights, job prospects, or dating profile could vanish overnight. Citizens with low scores were publicly shamed on digital billboards. It wasn't a metaphor. Obedience literally became currency. The world's largest surveillance experiment disguised itself as moral reform, turning reputation into a weapon of control. In 2014, South Korea passed the Real Name for Comments rule, requiring every online comment to include the writer's verified ID. Users had to enter their national registration numbers before posting anything. Within days, identity theft exploded. Hackers now had millions of fresh IDs. The law intended to stop cyberbullying, but instead fueled the largest privacy breach in the nation's history. When you demand names, anonymity finds sharper masks. In 2010, the United Kingdom banned electronic cigarette charging in public outlets after a single fire scare. Cafes displayed signs reading, "No charging vapes." Smokers gathered near bus stops, running extension cords from car batteries to stay powered. The government soon realized the rule caused more accidents than it prevented. It remains a perfect symbol of bureaucracy. When faced with sparks, they outlawed electricity instead of learning how to wire it right.